Hey, hey, hey. Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Loving today. It's amazing week. It's Monday, fun day. And of course, first one on always is my boy, JG. Jeremy Greenfield, the Popple boy. Pop it up, Popple. What's going on, Jeremy? Can you hear me okay? Sounds great. That's good. Oh, Team David Meltzer is here too. Welcome, everybody. Why don't we post up there, let me pin my number so people can get a hold of me or my email address. Thank you so much. If you want a replay of Friday's free training, we'll send that out to you. Go ahead, text me or email me, either one. And we have every Friday free training, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Let's get going here. Some questions. How are you? That's a good question. I'm doing blessed. I don't know, just so full of good energy, so excited for the week, so excited to help more people. Things are really picking up. Thank you, Team David Meltzer. Let's pin that up there. I'm working on everything. Give me some questions and we will go live. Anybody, thank you. Get those email addresses from Loki at Gmail. You can go ahead and email me. I pin my email up there for everybody. My text number, go ahead and text me as well. Samir, what's up, brother? Thank you from Houston. I could see that there. Give me some questions. Tell us things to learn during lockdown. You know what you should be learning during lockdown? Your values, right? Because I'm not going to tell you what to learn, but I'm going to tell you how to learn it. Meaning, if you're taking inventory of your values, personal, experiential, and giving values, and you're taking those inventories, you'll know what you want to learn, and the what is the most important thing. And so I want you to learn your what. And then it's easy. All you got to do is go out and ask people to help you to figure out the how. You already know your why, to help somebody else or to help something. What's your opinion on starting eBay and Amazon? Look, eBay and Amazon are distributions. So the key is buying something low and selling it at a higher price. I like to pre-sell things, meaning that I'm always researching eBay and Amazon for what things are selling for and what's sold out, and then going and looking for those things. Too many people do it backwards. I don't understand it. Like, the answers are already to the test are already there. You hear me? The answers to the test are already there. If you want to use Amazon and eBay, they're a distribution point, but they're also the key. And so just go look and say, hey, this is selling, sold out, selling fast, and then reverse engineer it. You know what it's selling for. You know it's sold out or selling super fast. Go get it and create the margins of millionaires right there. Friday training is on ego. Yes, it's road to revenue, edging goodness out of your life. And goodness includes gold and greatness and any other the G's that are expansive and abundant to you. Do not edge goodness out of your life or gold out of your life. Please, we're going to stay focused on that road to revenue. Appreciate it. Really was helpful. You're welcome. All right, the questions are rolling in. Let's jump on these questions. These are good. Always first on the question. I got Jeremy's always first getting on, and Jesse always has a good question. If we do something every day, do you suggest we do it the same every day? No, not at all. I suggest you do it better every day. 1% better every day, 0.1% better, 0.001% better. Trust the exponentiality, the acceleration and segmentation that allows you to expand and to grow, even if your senses cannot be aware of it. You hear me? You feel me? So no, don't do it the same way. Do it better, right? We're enjoying the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of your potential. And that is awesome. Lara DeVito, what do you have there? Do you have any thoughts on how you kept working while having the children around? Oh, yeah. I work better with my children around because I allow them to enjoy and participate in what I'm doing, right? You got a live lesson in the closet here. In fact, one of my middle kids, the incredible Mia, has made these in the closet videos, kind of keeping up with the Meltzer videos. And we just got the new one last night finished. So she's doing one a week. And so I participate with my kids. I make sure I teach them routine. I teach them discipline. I teach them the what search of what they're doing, to ask for help. I'm scheduling vacation every day with my kids, and 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 on a Saturday. And so whether it's walk, catches, swimming, whatever it is that we do, a little Fortnite or Madden, we are having an extraordinary time. So there's nothing but changes coming to me in the future because of my children, of how I can have them participate in what I'm doing. 3 days I got creative on track and I save things, and the other 3 days I get lazy. What should I change? Lower the bar. Lower the bar, lower the bar. Do things every day. It'll be much easier on you. 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. If you're doing three things, 3 days hard, 3 days off. No. Just do half as much. 7 days. 7 days. There's only activity you get paid for and activity you don't get paid for. Focus on activity you get paid for. Be real about it. Let's get it going here. Let's see if somebody wants to go live. Love some family specialists coming on. What helps you focus? I'm in real estate and I need deals. You need deals, then let's get people. So what keeps me focused is student in my calendar, pay attention to and give intention to the coincidences you want in real estate every day. Study with that attention and intention with the lens of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. Study what you have planned. How many people are you going to go ahead and call? How many emails? What are you doing with social media? What are you doing to ask how you can be of service of value to anyone? Do you know anyone that can help me? Remember, there are no gatekeepers out there. There's no resistance. All there is are people who want to sponsor you. And a sponsor is someone that will find someone for you. So you just ask them, do you know anybody that can help me? I'm looking for this. Anyone that wants to list their property. Look, there's a lot of accelerated change right now. People are buying and selling. In real estate, there's a ton of opportunity. Yes, I recommend Jim Quick, by the way, ADD. So go ahead and focus and put your attention and intention on what you have planned. What you don't have planned, there's a big white space in your calendar. There's empty space in your calendar. Think of productive, accessible, and gracious things that you can do during that time. Productive is how much value you can provide. Accessible is to those sponsors that can help you find somebody. Power sponsors that can help you and help you find someone. And even decision makers, somebody that actually needs you. All of those people are available. There are no gatekeepers. There's just people out there that want to help you and that you can help as well. Thank you. Let's see here. Jakey Bakey, who's coming on next? And we're getting on here. Whoops. Let me see. Looking here. Who wants to go live? Renee. There we go. Kids. Somebody put up there. How am I dealing with my kids? And there
Hi.
she is. Hi. Oh my goodness. Your eyes are popping on my IG.
Thanks. Hi, David. How are you doing?
Amazing. You put the I in IG. Oh my God. I'm like, look at those things. Wow, I'm jealous. Your plant, your dress, everything. It's awesome.
Oh, it's a green. Today's a green day.
Yeah. Well, my son was born on St. Patty's Day, so every
I
day's
love that.
he's my little lucky charm, my little Jewish leprechaun. I love him. Speaking of kids, right? We get a ton of questions about kids, and I think one of my biggest takeaways is I'm never as good as a dad as I think I am. And this really, people are like, oh, you have it so balanced, you have it this, and I'm sitting here going, I am missing out. I'm missing out on so much. What have I been doing the last 21 years with all these kids? I thought I was a good dad 10 years ago, and then at 5 years, I'm like, no, now again, give us kind of some perspective of, I think the biggest challenge and the biggest blessing that I hear out of everything from COVID is children. Give me some perspective.
Well, first of all, just to answer your question, and I'm so excited to be here I'm just so excited. But first of all, the best thing I want to tell you, and this is something I tell children all the time, is there is no such thing as a good child or good boy, good girl. So I'm going to tell you, there's no such thing as a good dad, bad dad. It's all about the choices we make. And if we focus on that, then that's what we have control over, and that's what we can change. I really don't think people are out there and you're born being a good child, a bad person. It's all defined by the choices and actions we make. So just remember that.
I love that.
Secondly, I was just listening. I'm so excited. I was listening to the answers that you were giving to questions. And it's always about motivation, which I love. Many of us are driven people. But if we maintain curiosity, if we constantly ask questions and stay curious, motivation will always follow. So teach your children to constantly ask questions. I love when they're asking questions. I know it's not always the best time, right? They're asking us things why, and we don't always have the answer, but we always want them to ask questions because that in turn later in life will keep them motivated.
Yeah, and I love, the difference. I love inspiration more than even motivation. And I have a saying up in my office always, be more interested than interesting,
Yes.
which my oldest brother told me when I wanted to go to med school. And I was so self-absorbed that I didn't realize doctors had to go and be in hospitals. I thought sports doctors were just on fields. Um, but it changed my life because I started asking questions again, right?
Yes.
And then even in business, people ask me what's one of the best skill sets you can develop. I said how to vet a deal or a person, right? Which
Yeah.
requires you to ask questions, to have
Hmm.
curiosity.
Hmm.
In fact, I have this saying, enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quick pursuit of your potential. I wonder that word curiosity was so powerful. I'm thinking about integrating it in there.
Yes,
Um,
you should. Yeah.
Along with curiosity, though, you mentioned something that I'm practicing as well. And I believe you, there's no good or bad, there just is, but there is better, right? I
Hmm.
think that's a really big distinction too. So I'm always pursuing my better self. I have a chief betterment officer. I am my chief betterment officer. But in order to do that, there's something being challenged right now on both sides is patience.
Yes.
And you'll probably deal with that a lot of people that just tell you, I don't have you mentioned it kind of about, I know we can't always answer the questions because it requires one thing, patience.
Hmm.
Are there, patience is a skill. Are there some tools or practices that we can have to develop better patience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's happened over time, especially when smart devices have come into place, when we talk about social media, and I've seen this, I've been practicing since the late 90s, um, and working with families. And what I've noticed, especially, and something I want to tell you as well, is society has shifted because we have lost patience. And for example, when we go to a movie theater, if you notice over time, it's been probably been like 15, 20 years, previews have gotten a lot quicker, a lot faster. And the reason being is because our attention span has changed. And it's because of this whole digital world. And so it's shifted. And what we've seen also with our own children is they don't really understand the concept of just sitting, waiting. You've seen increase possibly with your own kids. I'm bored, what do I do? And so this whole quarantine time has really shifted a lot of us and really forced many of us to have to sit and be creative with not the ability to go out. And so it is an exercise. Our brain, we have to exercise that. We have to practice. And so what I tell a lot of families that I work with is find ways you can just sit still. And it's starting with just a few seconds, 30 seconds of just doing nothing. And it's difficult because we get antsy. How often do you just sit without even watching television, doing nothing, and just sitting on your couch and just try it? It's a hard exercise without having the, tendency to get up or search or reach for your phone and start to email or check your texts, right? So
Absolutely.
it's definitely something that you can build, but you have to treat it like an exercise. And do it with your family. It's one of those things. And sometimes it will require a close your eyes for a brief few seconds, or let's stare at something and see how long we can stare at it without talking or asking a question. And over time, you're going to be able to build that. But we are pretty much, because I believe this whole digital world, we've lost our ability to attend for a period of time.
That's amazing because someone else, Tracy, said family meditation. I meditate 20 minutes a day, and I was someone who never could sit still. Even before the attention span came down to 8 seconds or whatever they say your average attention span is.
Yes.
I also talk about intention span. A lot of people only focus in on attention, but I
Mm-hmm.
think, it's funny because I talk about toughness,
Mm-hmm.
and toughness and resilience comes from intention.
Yes.
The more intention you have, the more resilient and the tougher you are. And there are no tough times, just tough people, resilient people, people who can have a longer intention span to go
Yeah.
along with attention. It's the law of Goya. Like the law of attention is the law of attraction. The law of intention is the law of Goya, which is get off your ass. Um,
Well, and we are stronger than we think. I think a lot of us have to give ourselves credit. I mean, you're never going to know unless you try. And yes, you're right. I mean, you have to take risks, David. And you know this. I mean, this is advice that you give everyone. It's just you have to take risks, and you need to start small. Really understand where your baseline is. I mean, we can't judge. the challenge is as a society is, uh, as parents, we tend to place a lot of judgment, and our expectations are so high. And one of the challenges is, I tell, and this is being, again, bringing us back to COVID, bringing us back to quarantine, is adjust your expectations and make them realistic, and then you're going to see more success. And a lot of people, and this is human behavior, and I'm so fascinated with human behavior.
Yeah, me too. That's why I study history.
I went to school for many years just to focus on human, like.
I wish I did. I wish I did. It would have helped me so much more than the law.
But what I wanted to say is that really understanding and knowing where you are at this moment gives you an opportunity to set your next benchmark, right? And so in order to do that, you do have to be a really good observer, almost that detective, and know where to start. And then that's how you can create your goals. If you don't know where you're at, you're just not going to know how to go forward.
Or what you want to go forward
or what,
with,
yeah,
right?
what.
I'm a big what person. And, it's interesting because I keep having the conversation about COVID and the fact of certainty, and people are searching for certainty. And I said, look, let's work backwards. Let's find something certain. And the one thing I know to be certain is that we will be able to stabilize what's going on with our economy. It doesn't mean it'll be the same, but we'll be able to have a stable economy where you'll have reliable, dependent, and independent variables once there's a vaccine. Until there's a vaccine, there will be an uncertain economy. There'll be uncertain education, uncertain, because there'll always be the fear that it will resurge itself or break out. And so giving people that certainty, especially your kids, of, look, we have extraordinary medical capabilities, and there will be a vaccine. It's not like 100 years ago with the plague, and you just didn't have, you're like, is this going to destroy the entire earth? No, we have supercomputers. Watson is working at a rate that has never been seen before to figure this out. And I am confident, 99.99999% confident, we will have a vaccine. So if you want certainty, you realize that we're going to have a strategy to get to the vaccine and then be able to deal with a stable educational, financial system. It may not be the same, but it will be stable, which will make people feel good. How do we make our kids feel good? Because their schools and their graduations and their proms and their classes today, all of these things are changing, and the only people that like change is a wet baby. They're out of diapers, my kids at least. So how can I provide more certainty than just, hey, I promise you there'll be a vaccine and we'll get back to school, and you'll be able to see your friends.
Right. And those are real questions, and it's a great question. It's one of the biggest questions I get. And as human beings, and even children, they really want that clear beginning and the clear ending. And what you were talking about is what anxiety is. And anxiety is just the fear of the unknown. And that in our children has developed even more because, again, through society, we have so much pressure. Children put pressure upon themselves. And change is hard. When you think about a big system, a big corporation, this reform, it takes about 2 years or so. So we've asked children overnight practically to adjust something that they were so used to, change. And so we went from going to school, being with their friends, hanging out, really having not such huge worldly worries, to shifting to remote schooling. And so we have to give them time to process and change. And it's important to know, and we're almost hitting into the summertime, but allow your children to express themselves. Let them know, listen to their fears, validate, stick with them. And it goes back to the basics. Make eye contact with your child when your child is telling you something. It may not be that big to you, but for them, it's their whole world. And my daughter celebrated a small milestone, but still, she turned 16, and she had to
big milestone.
Big milestone. We did cancel a Sweet 16, and we did, she had a drive-by parade, but at the end of it, she cried, and all she said was, she's like, I'm so grateful, but I do wish I could hug my friends. And just validating something so powerful and giving them that need, that hug, and letting them know that must be hard. That must be frustrating. One of the things I tell parents, to make sure you use your own senses when you talk to kids, use I hear, I see, I feel you. Those are cute, small little words that you can use to help validate and let them know that you're listening to them. And that will go a long way. And you're right, unknown is hard. But if we take it a day at a time and we let them know that they're safe and we're in this together, provides so much security, especially for your little ones.
Yeah, that's awesome. Last question, real quick. So Sue Enquist is a famous coach. She actually was more winning coach than my boy, the Pyramid of Success here, the
Ah,
famous John Wooden. But she gave me an interesting piece of advice, and she's coached so many kids, and that's don't ask your kids questions and stuff. Let them talk to you.
right.
There's so much coming at them that she believes that you keep the eye contact, the touching, the smell, all the things that they need as a parent. Be attentive to them, but allow them to talk. Don't the minute they get into the car, the minute you see them, just start barraging them with questions.
Right.
Allow them to question you. Is that something you subscribe to as well?
Yeah. So especially with this pandemic and as parents, I mean, this is a big advice that is so important. If you're going to take anything away, take this, take this away, is that let your children, you have to assess, you have to know where they're coming from before you can answer anything. And as parents, we have a tendency to divulge, give them more information that they really need. And a lot of times we are not checking in with where they are developmentally. For example, a 5-year-old is going to understand something so different than a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old. So make sure
And I
you
have to
have,
stop you, just so everyone knows, a 17 and 18-year-old, they don't understand anything. So that's what she's talking about.
right.
Someone came in and sucked half of the brains of my teenagers out. I don't know what happened. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's true. And so, and even within that age, right? Even many 17, 18-year-olds amongst themselves, they all vary with their own understanding of things. And at that age, they think they're invincible. So we gotta remember that too. And so, and that's why it was so hard to kind of reel them in with this whole pandemic. But don't divulge. First, ask them, what do you tell me what you know? What do you think? Ask them. And it gives them so much power. Children want to be in control. We shouldn't be controlling everything and controlling their own thought process. So ask them, what do you know? What do you think? And right then, when they respond, you're going to have an idea of where they're at. And then you're going to be able to kind of structure that conversation and only disclose what they need to know at that time and what's appropriate.
Awesome. Well, Renee, you're amazing. I can't wait to see you in person someday. Thank you so, so much.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
exciting. Such great advice, by the way. It's really, to me, the most, besides health, family and children are the most important.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. And right now, David, I'm offering for an entire month
yeah,
my services free at no charge if you kind of sign
girl
on.
after my own heart.
Yeah, well, well, this is because of you. It's virtually, you don't have to leave, and something we've been doing for a while. But this is a difficult time, and whether you're here nationally or internationally, being a parent is challenging, and making sure that they're learning and getting what they need to have within them in order to go off, and also wellness. Wellness is a huge aspect too. So just check out my website, get onto my Instagram, and then let's connect and let's get you where you need to be.
You got it at Rena B. Patel. Check her out. And so many parents out there, it's the best thing that you can use your time to figure out, because it will pay back a legacy that is unparalleled to anything. So thank you so much, Rena. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, David.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
That's awesome. There's some great advice. I'm using it. I love this Instagram because I get my own advice and help there as well. And thank you, Team Meltzer, for helping me out. Let's get to a couple more questions. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here. Here we go. Best advice for someone who never stepped on stage in front of thousands of people. Practice, 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 practice. Start with clapping. So think of yourself as being able to clap in front of 70,000 people. Can you step on a stage and clap? Get that feeling emotionally, mentally, and physically within the context of who you are. And then everything that you want to do on stage, make sure that you have the same emotional, physical, spiritual alignment as you do with just clapping. Because if you're as confident as you are clapping on stage, it won't matter how many thousands, millions, or billions of people watch you. That's why I do these Instagram lives. I'm just clapping, and I keep that energy exactly there. Same thing in sales. You could do it with 120 energy. Don't go into a deal unless you are sure energetically the same way that you're giving $100 and only asking for 20 back. Answered that one already. The 3 days on, 3 days off. It's the curious, consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential. Be curious, be more interested than interesting. So many great takeaways that we had with Rena, and make sure you check her out. Check the notes. You really should put these streams on highlights for later because they're so good, and sometimes we do. So you can check us out. Go ahead, email me, text me, either one. We'll give you the links, but everything's saved and repurposed. YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. We're doing our best to get it on all platforms, but I appreciate that so much. And most importantly, Friday trainings. This week is Road to Revenue. Ego. People ask me how to get out of your own way. Ego edges goodness out of your life, edges gold out of your life, edges if anything out of your life. So let's figure out the ego and practice ending fear and create a flow for everything you know and want. That's what we're going to do. Let's keep these questions going. There's so many great ones. How do you balance work and family? First of all, I don't balance it. Second of all, there's no such thing as work. There's activity I get paid for, activity I don't get paid for. I put a certain percentage of value on my values. So much attention and intention are going to my personal values today, so much for my experiential values, so much for my giving and receiving values, those four things, but they are not balanced. I don't do 25, 25, 25. I have an adaptable routine where I make sure I have a minimum amount of time that I spend with my family, with my health, with my calendar to execute on the productivity, accessibility, and gratitude that I have during the day to create the coincidences that you want. The coincidences are things people call luck. They're just coincidences. Do you know any comedians? Yeah, tons. Go ahead, reach out if you want to meet some. Joe Torre is one of my best unknown comics that I know, but many from Kevin Hart down. Best advice for someone who's lost a lot of confidence to gain it back. Incremental. If you lost confidence, this is what creates confidence. Clarity on what you want, balancing those values every day, personal, experiential, giving and receiving, getting focused, paying attention to and intention to, increasing your attention span and your intention span in order to take the coincidence of confidence. Clarity, balance, and focus gives you confidence if you practice clarity and balance and focus every day. According to what I just said, you will be more and more confident. The more and more confidence you have, the better coincidences will occur more rapidly and accurately in your life. That's a super sauce. Let's see. We're on the next special guest. Let's see where's my boys here. I don't see Roy. Let me see here. I'm looking to see our next person to go live with. I'll answer one more question. How to gain clarity in life. Clarity comes from awareness. Awareness comes from a vibration. Vibrations come from raising that awareness, that state of the higher frequency. So for me, it's through meditation, finding that peace, that center that allows me to create a baseline, like Rena was talking about, a baseline to equal or great to the plateau and grow philosophy. So we go over this as well on our training. And so Friday, please join me. That's a big point for ego. And we'll get there on Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Join me. Let me see here. We'll get live, looking for the next person. And here we go. Roy is here. Thank you, Team Meltzer. I appreciate that. Justin.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me and Royby.
Roy B is here. I was like, great.
Yes, he is always.
Tell everyone. Everywhere you go. You sleep
Yes.
with Roy B.
It's little, fits in my purse, goes everywhere.
That's awesome. Tell us about Roy B.
Sure. This is Royby. It's an AI-powered educational robot for kids aged 3 to 7 in language learning and basic STEM. It has a camera with facial detection to say hello to the child, because as you know, the interaction between toys and your kids is one of the most important matters. And we want to make sure that the child always communicates, with their toy. And especially if it's an educational toy, it has a small belly screen, so it shows emojis, pictures, and also it is conversational. It talks with the child on a daily basis. We have different sorts of lessons, reports, so parents and educators can actually see where the child stands in terms of progress. But also the biggest point for Roiby is that we want to focus on the child's ability and interest rather than one size fits all.
And how do you determine what those interests are? Are you programming the interest? Are you picking and choosing? How do you determine that?
Sure. So it uses machine learning, and of course it takes time. And how it starts is within the first 2 weeks, Roiby asks certain questions, for example, to get to know the child's favorite colors, animals, categories. So the first 2 weeks is more like getting to know your friend. And then based on that, the machine learning kicks in, and gradually we can learn about what the child likes and gradually adjust the content based on that. But of course, it takes at least 2 months to get to that point. And also we have the ability to benchmark the child's progress based on the scientific data that we have. So we know if the programs are basic for them or too complex. So gradually we can adjust those for them.
And then, I'm a big fan of consistent behavior. And I believe the human AI, or human being, as far as the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious, takes daily input and activity. Yes. And that we accelerate through that daily. And if we even miss a day, it creates what I call a zeroing effect. It would be x to the 0 power, which takes you back to the beginning 1. When we're dealing electronically or digitally, our Roibys of the world, they have a great ability to start right where we finished. Right? They don't dissipate in their action if it's not done daily. But for the child from 4 to 7 that's utilizing, how important is it for them to interact every day, 7 days a week?
It is very important because, as you know, when you don't use it, you lose it, right? So we want to make sure that the child continues interacting with Roiby. And it is proven based on our research and data available that the children actually really like to interact with robots like Roiby. And it brings more motivation. And on a daily basis, we have designed certain lessons with over 50 categories. So on a daily basis, they go through different kinds of lessons, categories that they are fun. They can talk with Roiby, it responds back, but we also did something that is, we limited the duration of the lessons because the attention span of children is very limited. And we want to make sure they don't get bored, they have fun. And we also want to make sure that the kids are not glued to the robot like they are with the displays or TV, because it is really important that they also have their playtime. It is by playing that they can learn. So based on these, we designed a certain path so that on a daily basis, they go through it, but also parents and educators have the ability to adjust this content based on their classroom or what they think the child likes.
It's so interesting to me because I believe the universe itself is a technology. And if you think there's all these mini Roibys out there for what you do, if we're not consistently doing this, then what happens is all the Roibys out there, they think you're here, but if you haven't accessed Roiby in a while, you could have accelerated and it changed, and you have a disconnect from the learning of the universe, of the technology, of the Roiby in effect. And I love to bring it down because that's the importance to me of a Roiby for a developmental child from 4 to 7, is that we can teach them, in my opinion, actually how to manifest, right? How to attract what they want, how to create coincidences by creating a relationship, not necessarily even with Roiby, but with the ideas that are shared between Roiby and your child, and they develop together. And that's the most extraordinary thing about AI. Where do you see, last question real quick, where do you see that technology going that is not only applicable, obviously, to 4 to 7-year-olds, because we can limit the data But what about 52-year-olds? Where do you see that AI going?
Undoubtedly, AI is going to truly change the future in many industries, especially in education, because we really don't have the good use of AI when it comes to learning. And where I can see, at least with the work that we are doing, we really want to connect the learners, parents, and educators from all around the world. They can connect to each other, build a community. They can even learn from each other. And as you mentioned, AI is a subject that needs to continue gathering data so it becomes better and better to help the humanity. And for that, again, that's one of the reasons we have facial detection, to make sure Roby can interact with the child or even adults. The reason we don't have this specific technology really for adults is because AI still is not mature enough to carry on longer conversations, but gradually we will get there in the next few years. Exactly like any other technology that evolved, AI is going to also get there and give us the opportunity to start from as young as 2-3 years old to any age that you can imagine, as long as you want to learn. It doesn't matter what age you are. And of course, we see that it is the future to really change the world and have an impact on how people learn in the future, as we also move more towards remote learning.
Yeah, and I think the more we learn about that process of learning, the more we learn about ourselves. And that's the real value. And you've done, Anas, such a great job. It's so cool to see Royby. If you want to check it out, where can they find the Royby at now?
RoybyRobot.com.
You got it, RoybyRobot.com. Check it out. Also, when you're looking at it, think about how we're interacting with consciousness, how we're interacting with the universe. You'll find some great synergies and similarities of how we learn and how we can improve and grow and accelerate what we want in life, all from that type of technology. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
You got it. Take care.
Bye-bye.
That's so cool. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
I wish I was 4. I could use the Royby. I want the 40-year-old Royby. Help me out. I got John Wooden's pyramid falling off behind me. Dr. Jill is on the line here. We're right on time. Let's go ahead and see if I can grab one more doctor for the day. Look at everybody lining up. Thank you so much for your questions. I think the parents interact with the platform is important as well. Yeah, I agree. Great point. Hello.
What's up, man? How's it going?
It's a cool doc. What's going on, brother?
Not too much. How's everything?
It's awesome. What are those pictures behind you? They look super cool.
Oh, those are my banners. One of them, this one, if you could see it, I feel like it's so narcissistic. I actually didn't have that made. A client had it made for me, so I can't take credit for like I'm trying to show off here. So, I should have gotten one of those one-piece leopard outfits to wear.
Yeah, right. Carol Baskin, you'll be fine. And you're a Packers fan too? Is that behind you?
What's that?
Is that a Packers fan behind you? Is that Green Bay?
No, that's a Georgia, UGA actually.
Oh, look out!
Yeah, UGA is that's where I did my PhD. So yeah, it's got some UGA love. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Nick Chubb is one of my boys, and he is a
nice.
humble kid. One of my favorite interviews I've done with a football player. Just so surprising. That was awesome. Anyway, got a bunch of Georgia guys jumping out now. That's awesome. Blaine's probably somewhere. Now, do you get down to the Masters? Are you in Georgia right now?
Yeah, I'm in Georgia right now. My practice where I do everything at, it's in Atlanta, or about 20 minutes north of Atlanta. So yeah, pretty much everything I do is in Georgia, and hopefully that with the economy kind of starting to kind of getting back into the swing of things here with the Corona thing, but we'll see what happens. So I don't kind of crazy times.
Very crazy. And so, because Georgia has opened up first, et cetera, give everybody a little background on what you do and how it's impacted you.
Yeah. So basically, just a little bit about me. I did my undergrad and master's in kinesiology at Indiana University. Then I did my PhD in kinesiology/exercise science at UGA. After that, I opened up my own own business, Advanced Human Performance, in the Atlanta area, where I work with a lot of different populations, from, high level athletes, collegiate, professional, high school, as well as general populations. Pretty much everyone from fitness competitors, bodybuilders, to general populations, working class men and women. So it's given me a chance to really work with a wide variety of clientele. And as far as how the Corona thing has impacted me, I hate saying this, it hasn't impacted me all that much, because a lot of what I do falls under like essential necessary care. So I've still been able to kind of do one-on-one stuff. As far as the group things that I've been doing with athletes over the years, wasn't able to do that. But so other than that, it really didn't impact me to a huge extent. But I mean, a lot of people I know, a lot of my clients, a lot of my friends, it has. So.
It's so interesting, because people say that to me. I hate to say this, but things are going better than ever, or that you really didn't impact me too much. And I'm like, no, say it. People need to hear this, because you can't be poor enough to make people rich. So we need your company doing well in Atlanta. You could be rich enough to make people rich. You can give all your money away, man.
Hey, that's a good.
It's
I
perfect.
like that. I like that. Rich enough to
you can, man, Dr. Joel. So talking about human performance really interests me, because my background in the athletic side as well can see these similarities of, like the Marshall Falks of the world, that carry over what they have done to create their human performance on the field. And they use the same exact technique off the field. And people wonder why they're successful, and other athletes that have performance on the field can't transfer it over off the field. What are some of those key characteristics of, how can someone be so successful on the field and not carry it off? Or those that do, what are the characteristics that they're utilizing that you see, because you're an expert? And by the way, my daughter goes to IU, so you've won over twice on me now.
Nice. I like it. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. No, I think, I think there's a few things to look for in terms of kind of the athletic component of things that I look for with athletes. Essentially, I'm looking for attributes related to motor control. Obviously, the explosive components are there, but a lot of people kind of forget some of the more subtle things, like, okay, do they have good foot and ankle mechanics? Do they have good balance? Do they have good stability? Do they have good posture alignment? Do they have good control of their body when they have unpredictable forces coming at them? So it's some of the more slightly subtle, intangible things that you look for. When we see things like the NFL Combine, we're used to seeing, the 40-yard dash, the bench press, how high can they jump? That's all great, but there's a lot more to performance and a lot more to on the field and even off the field than just those few aspects of power or speed. It's much more complex than that.
And have you been out to like the UFC performance facility or the Olympic performance facilities and seen, the amount of data that they collect, and the specific performance equipment that is available today is extraordinary? Have you been out and looking at that, or do you utilize any of that specific performance equipment?
Yeah, I've seen a decent amount of that. It's funny, because I've had this discussion with some other colleagues in the field, and it's so amazing where technology has come and the type of data you can collect, and the types of qualitative and quantitative things you can look at with athletes. And in one sense, it's like, wow, I want to look at all this available data. I want to be able to measure every attribute and characteristic of my athlete. And then on the other hand, it's almost like you can get overly caught up in those, and sometimes the naked eye as a coach and even the feedback from the athlete can be your most invaluable tools, because that can tell you a lot more about what's going on. Even some of the EMG stuff we have regarding muscle activation, I can almost learn a little bit more just from asking the athlete, hey, did you feel that exercise? Hey, where did you feel that? Did you feel the muscles firing? Hey, how did the joints feel after you did that? Did you feel stable? Did you feel locked in? Even visually kind of analyzing it, assessing as a coach, how stable was it? Were they locked in? Were they demonstrating proper mechanics? So in one sense, I think that looking at all the different, kind of complex analysis of movement is outstanding, and we need to be doing more of that. But I still think, you can't get away from some of the basic fundamentals of coaching.
Yeah, it's the last topic I want to talk about is pertinent to everybody, because I think, taking an analogous look at what we're doing today, we're in a great recovery, and I get, and a lot of the athletes that I talk to, from the WNBA to the NBA to hockey to baseball to football, everybody's, the first thing they mention is the recovery. Like they didn't realize how much recovery they were missing because they're forced to recover no matter what. Just forced from that high impact daily gaming activity.
Exactly.
You can work out all you want, but you and I both know when the adrenaline and the must be what you can be attitude comes out, your body's put to the test. And
Exactly.
you can have that performance, but there's something, that one intangible bit that makes the NFL draft so exciting is that you can look at all the film and data and work out whatever, but there's still the Tom Brady's of the world and the Jerry Rice's of the world that just have this must be what they can be and game time attitude. But recovery for everyone is so important. What are some of the things that we should be doing, because we're blessed with this great pause, to just recover mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, so that as things progress out, that we come back bigger, stronger, faster than ever?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. So, so many people are used to, I can kind of just speak from the training component of fitness. A lot of people have been so used to just going to the gym, crushing the heavy weights, pounding their body, and oftentimes they don't realize that they're missing out on the recovery, like you mentioned. And recovery really is one of the most important aspects of, whether it's athletic performance, whether it's fitness, whether it's bodybuilding, even, physique management, body composition changes. If your body's not recovered, you're not going to be getting nearly the results. In fact, it's always better to undertrain than to overtrain. You overtrain, you actually can go backwards. So one of the things that people can be doing during this time is don't look at it as like, oh my gosh, I can't, go to the gym and work out heavy. Sometimes those body weight workouts can be the very thing that your body needs, not just from a recovery standpoint, but it helps you kind of focus on your technique, focus on your form, really improve the quality of your movement, so that when you do go back to the gym in, a few weeks or a few months, or hopefully sooner than later, you can basically be more in tune with your body, and that way you're going to be less prone to injury and your joints are going to feel better. So I think a lot of people are going to walk away from this whole Corona thing and saying like, wow, my body actually feels better and less achy because I didn't, push it so much, and I actually allowed recovery. So I think it's going to be kind of a blessing in disguise.
Absolutely. As long as we stay active and move. Any last piece of advice for anyone? You have such great and wealth of knowledge in your space. Anything you want to put out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's doing body weight training right now, I think, which is fantastic, and it's kind of the necessary thing. Don't focus so much on quantity of movement, focus on quality of movement. You don't need a ton of quantity to make it intense. If you do the right technique and very high quality reps and give a lot of effort and really lock it in every single repetition of every exercise and really focus on using the appropriate muscles, the intensity will be there. It'll actually be even higher than if you try and just mindlessly blast out a lot of reps. So focus on attention to detail, your form, your body mechanics, really kind of feel and tune into what your body's telling you. Don't just rush through the reps mindlessly, and your body will thank you for that.
That's awesome, Joel. I appreciate it, man. I look forward to seeing you when this all breaks through. We have the Masters in November, so let's
Oh,
hope it goes
nice.
off. You'll come down and be
Awesome.
my guest, all right?
Well, thanks for having me.
You got it, brother. Take care. Thank you for
Okay, you
coming
too.
on. That was
No problem.
awesome.
My pleasure.
Perfect. Joel makes a really good point, by the way, and it's why the ego training on Friday, right? So many times what I learned when I was young is I worry about the weights, and I actually was hurting myself, right? It had to be the amount of weight. Where once I learned to take my ego out, stop edging goodness out of my life, edging the gold out, edging all of that stuff out, and I just lowered the weight and worked on technique. Half the weight was harder than double the weight when you have the right technique. And I'm sure a lot of you know that. Well, the same thing's true in business, right? To have the right technique, to have the time to develop the skills, to acquire the knowledge to do things the right way will sustain you in the enjoyment of the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential. Make sure you're here tomorrow, 8 a.m., LinkedIn Lives at 3 p.m. Check out our free trainings at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time every Friday. I pinned up my text number, 949-298-2905, or email me at david@dmeltzer.com. We'll get you registered for the free training. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy. Remember, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Thanks to everybody that joined me.